Just getting this going.
That must be like.
Yeah, we're just testing the audio video.
Looking for your cord.
Kim, would you please speak? If we could just make sure your audio is working.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
I like that. You know, extension now, what they do. I've never been Adams. I didn't like it. I would have rather had it stitching. I didn't get over that. She's cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, really? I should know this. I can see nobody do this up here. Yeah. The real deal. Yeah, I know what to be here. Oh, sweet. Everything's rock. I don't know, that's what they're meeting,
Right there. She's joining remotely. She's on.
We do. Yeah, tomorrow I got off Saturday, I have a wedding shower for 80. Yeah. Oh, that's.
The clock is slow, so I'm gonna start in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Fourth grade. What teacher?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Mayville Common Council special meeting, Thursday, May 4th, 6 p.m. I will start by taking the roll. Alderman Michael Schmidt. Here. Alderperson Kim Olson.
Here.
Alderman Jack Abbott.
Here.
Alderman Roger Smith. Here. A quorum is present. Item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 3, citizen comments. Citizen comments are to be kept to a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker unless the chairperson allows an extension of time. Each citizen is to make comments at the podium after stating name and address. Each citizen may comment only one time per public hearing and meeting. Would like to begin.
Yes, I am Nicole Baker. I'm the utility accountant for the city of Mayville. A little nervous here. I know that I am speaking on many, if not all, the employees here. There has been a significant amount of negative talk on social media. Employees are not allowed to respond or point out any of the positive changes. If we could, those posts would have a completely different story. However, for our employee handbook, it prohibits us to use social media when representing the city of Mayville. It is unfair that there is one employee that chooses to talk very negatively about our city ongoing. I started 3 years ago. And in that time, turnover, from my understanding, was due to the lack of structure and being overworked. Like many of us, when I started, the person in my position previously had already moved on, even though she left great notes and records. It's taken me a couple of years to feel comfortable in my position. That is typical in municipal town and any job. It takes time. Turnover does not help. There was no and still no HR or administrative person for anyone to go to for help. As I have watched it all play out, I've seen city employees burn out, work late nights instead of being with their families, and have seeked medical attention. And I am one of them. However, what's been keeping it all together are the employees ourselves. The employee morale is the best many people have ever seen it. Long-term employees said this is the best they've seen it. Also, for the first time in many years, somebody's listening to the employees. That's Mayor Glenn. Thank you. He listens, he sits down with us, he asks us for our opinion, and he will never leave the office without asking if we need anything before he goes. So where are we now? So now the city employees are in a state of just trying to clean up the massive turnover in 6 years. So yes, every stone is gonna be turned. You gotta know what you're working with. And I just don't understand why people feel their feathers are being ruffled. And I don't know why we can't just work together. The urgency of getting people those council seats is very imperative. There are 2 water and sewer projects that need to be approved by council on Monday. And if that doesn't happen, all our funding and contracts will be in significant danger for the city. I ask that everyone just take a deep breath and just let the city employees do their jobs that they are more than capable of doing. We cannot afford any more turnover.
Are there any other citizen comments?
Sandra May, 440 North Henniger Street. I want to take this time and read to you the letter I wrote in regards to Ward 5 alderperson position. My name is Cassandra May. I live at 440 North Henniger Street, Mayville. I'm writing to express my interest in filling the open position of Ward 5 alderperson on the Mayville City Common Council. I believe my life experiences and positivity would be a great addition to the council. I'm an honest person and I love this community. I want to continue moving it forward in a positive, in the right direction by focusing on the concerns and issues of Mayville. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Sandra? Chief?
Keith Lodell, 150 North German Street. And I also would like to read into the record my letter is indicating interest in the Ward 2 Alderman position. Mayor, again, I'm surprised to hear that Alderman Bob Smith has chosen to resign. His experience will be missed. While I have no desire to run for council, I'm willing to serve the remainder of Alderman Smith's term. My qualifications for this position are as follows. I previously served on Mayville City Council. I served on many of the boards and commissions in Mayville. I'm currently on Water Wastewater Board of Appeals and Communications Committee. I spent over 30 years working with companies in manufacturing and healthcare, building systems and training to make sure objectives were met and the businesses stayed healthy. I have experience at the COO and director level in healthcare and human services. I also worked for a large nonprofit corporation that had a very similar problem with missing funds. And while the situation resolved just prior to my employment, I was an observer of the outcome of decisions made and processes that changed the results. At this point, I feel the most pressing need is to conclude the financial investigation and build systems to prevent reoccurrence. Blame is not important going forward, but systems repair is essential to reassure taxpayers that their taxes are being carefully used. The work needs to be totally transparent and communicated to the community. Please let me know if you have questions. I can start at your convenience. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Joe Holman, 271 South Main Street. I appreciate you guys starting to move a new chapter forward. I think that one of the main things is process begins everything. The process to be able to notify the public correctly, to even making sure that we have citizen comments, so we got a choice to be able to have people hear us. I think are some of the most important things we could do as a city council. Obviously, you guys are going to get some new folks on board. And it sounds like there's some experience out there as well. And I appreciate all of you guys, Jack, Mike, Roger, John, you guys got a big task ahead of you right now, as well as Kim, who's should be able to hear me. I'm hoping you guys will come together now at this point and be able to push these agendas. I know that everyone keeps saying missing money. I think it's not missing, it's just gotta find it in the accounting process through the GAAP process. So I appreciate what you guys do. And I hope that we continue to have an open and transparent government and the process is followed. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. Any other citizen comments this evening?
Becky Smith, 334 Pinecrest Court. My comment is to do with the alder persons that will be appointed. I just ask that you choose from the applications that have been submitted. Let them finish the term for that ward, and then if others are interested at a later time, that's what a general election is for. And then you would move on because you'd have a full council and you could clean up the loose ends. There was even a meeting on May 1, and there were agenda items that weren't covered, so maybe it's not relevant anymore, but just to echo what others have said, it's time to move on. Represent the city well. We appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments?
Stephanie Billington, 257 North German. I just wanted to say I don't go to all these meetings, but it would be really nice if we could have some communication, because there has been so much gossip in it with a small town. It's just like that, and on Facebook, and then so-and-so said this, and nobody really knows what's going on. So like, I don't know, I thought you, the mayor, had something on the website, but I couldn't find it with updates. So if we could have some kind of communication so people know what is going on, so that lies don't start coming about. That's my request, and as we're just out in the parking lot praying over you guys and praying over this building, we are just praying for unity, that you guys could come together and that God would really work in the city and through you guys. Okay, so thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? All right, items for discussion. First item, discuss the process for appointments for alderperson vacancies in wards 2 and wards 5. Please note that from an agenda standpoint, this is a discussion to communicate with the public what the process entails. And I will just start by saying that it has been fantastic to be receiving interest letters and applications in such short order. I think in order to promote participation of the public in the process, I wanted to wait for another week. And I'm going to call a special meeting next Thursday evening for the purpose of reviewing our options, interviewing those that are wishing to participate. And it is the council's decision whether the city will appoint to fill these seats or ask for a special election. We have been working really hard the last couple of days, looking at and exploring all of the options. And I reached out directly to Karen Gibson at Dodge County. And I guess as it relates to having a special election, Karen Gibson says, I'm guessing the council would have to call a special election. I do want to point out she can't give legal advice, and she clarifies that. I'm guessing the council would have to call a special election, but I do not know the timeline as far as taking out nomination papers. Roger has some details on that. I'll ask him to share. Circulating and getting it back to the municipal clerk. I can also tell you in the 20+ years that I've been county clerk, there has never been a special election to fill a vacancy, including when there are vacancies on the county board. The appointment process has always been used.
So, yeah, so I looked up the statutes on a special election and what I found on, oh shoot, I don't have the statute right in front of me. What I found on the Wisconsin website is that from the time if we chose to go special election route, from the time we announce that's what we want to do, it can't be less than 62 days and not more than 77 days. But just for the sake of argument, if we waited a week to make a decision, you know, we're talking about 2.5 months before we would have a full council again. So I'm an advocate of going the appointed route. I think it'll be much more expedient and we can get back to the business of doing business. We are a representative government. We have good people on council here. I think we have good people, I know we have good people that are willing to step in and fill in the vacancies. So I am quite confident with the folks we have on the council and folks stepping forward, it's pretty hard to make a bad decision on filling the roles. So I'm advocating that we do the appointment route and get back to the business of doing business.
Roger, is there anyone on the council who would like to give an opposing view on that topic?
I would. This is
Okay.
Kim,
ahead.
I believe a special election should be allowed because it's up to those folks that live in those wards to decide. I don't feel it's up to somebody else. I want the people to have their say.
Okay, thanks, Kim. So I will, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jack.
I myself lean towards a special election. Just, I understand there's, some urgency here, but, these are elected positions. I just feel that a special election would be the way to go.
Yeah. I can just again, point out to the public that there are two members of this common council who at one point or another gained their position by being appointed through the process. So everything will be given consideration. It'll be completely transparent. The public will be invited, of course, for public comments. And we don't come into these meetings with predetermined outcomes. So please bring your public comments for next Thursday night. We will build the agenda with a structure that will allow us to go, any number of directions. But the fact that we have multiple individuals from Ward 2 is fantastic. The fact that we have an individual from Ward 5, these are people who stepped up right away. I admire that. So I encourage anybody in the community that resides in Ward 2 or Ward 5 and wishes to serve. I'm confident that this council has come to a turning point where they're ready to work together and help turn things around and make meaningful progress. So unless there's anything else that any of you would like to add, we can move forward.
My name is Mike Schmidt. I've been in the city since 1996. I believe it was in 1999 or 2000 that I was approached by several people to apply for an appointment to the council because the person that was in my ward, which at that time was 4, now it's 3, had just been appointed as the new mayor, and that left our ward open. So I applied for it, and with 5 other people, we went through the process of interview by the current city council. And somehow or other, I was fortunate enough to come out on the leading edge of that appointment process. So I served 1 full year before I ran, and then I ran more times for 2-year terms successfully. And I thought it was a very good learning process for me. I learned a lot about city government here. And then we went on from there. 4 years after the first 3 terms that I ran again and ran 3 times. And then I bowed out again. By God, 4 years later, here I am again. But and the reason I'm back is because nobody ran for Ward 3. And I hated to see the people in the ward be unrepresented on the council. And that's why I'm back. I enjoy working for the city. I like the city. I think the city is a marvelous place. People are friendly. And that's why we're here. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, unless there are any other comments, we'll move on. So item 2, status update on resignations of comptroller, treasurer, and city clerk. So I'm gonna start, you'll notice our city clerk is not here this evening. And we all know it occurred on the 24th, but later after the meeting that evening, I received a resignation letter from our city clerk. She was citing many of the same circumstances as our comptroller treasurer. With the resignations that occurred on Sunday. And after several conversations, we were able to, I would just say that I received this letter from Anastasia Gonstead. Dear Mayor Gwynn, on April 24th, 2023, I provided my resignation with the city of Mayville, providing a final day of May 7th. Since giving that resignation, I've been contacted by city employees, county employees, citizens, and some alder people expressing disappointment in seeing me leave and asked that I reconsider my decision. After further discussions with my family, I would like to rescind my resignation effective immediately. With the current state of city affairs and the amount of work there is to be done, I would be remiss to step out of this role at this time. Out of respect to the citizens and fellow employees, I do not want to add to an already chaotic situation. Please let me know if there's anything further you need from me at this time. So we checked with the city's council, legal counsel on, we had not accepted the resignation, but that's immaterial. But in any case, we were glad to have received the letter from Anastasia that she is going to remain. Now, I did receive, when I was speaking with and working with Karen Gibson and doing some research, she asked me to share with this council. She said, as long as I have your ear, I would like you and the council to know I was concerned when I heard about the departure of the previous clerk. But Anastasia has stepped up into the clerk role so amazingly well. Granted, I only worked with her regarding elections, but she grasped that topic and did an amazing job in February and April with very little help from me. She seems committed to knowing the processes and doing them correctly, and the city should be thankful for being able to find someone who is reliable and wants to do what is best for the city. Also, the city has a great group of election workers. Out of the 42 municipalities, I put them in the top 5. Great job. So we're very happy to retain Anastasia. We are, and this was determined by the council several weeks ago, she will be going to a city clerk certification program through UW Green Bay, which is only going to strengthen her skill set. And it took Sarah Decker a long time to learn all these great skills. And I just encourage the public to give Anastasia the same courtesy. And it's super important that for us as elected officials, we need to understand that there is an employee handbook that our city employees they signed an acknowledgement of receiving that handbook. Now, in that city handbook, it does state that there is a code of conduct as it relates to social media posts. It is a very awkward situation, and in my opinion, an inappropriate situation to have elected officials on a gossip site on Facebook criticizing the job performance of our city employees. They are so dedicated. They work really hard. We overwork them. I don't think Anastasia has worked less than 40 hours a week since she started. We're probably looking more like 60 hours a week. And on some level, it's exploitative. And like I said, she's a fantastic employee. We're really happy to have her rescind her resignation. So that's the status on the city clerk, onward and upward. The same evening of the 24th, at the conclusion of the evening, we received a resignation letter from Angela Rundy. I am going to, in the interest of keeping things civil, we're going to really try to fast forward here and state that since the 24th, in receiving that resignation letter from Angela Rundy, she has been here every single day. She is dedicated to helping us resolve this problem. She is one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. She's as tough as nails and won't back down to people who attempt to intimidate her or mistreat her. And she is a wonderful asset to this city. Now, I want to give Angela the opportunity to speak if she would like to in terms of what her plans are going forward. I personally believe that the city would be remiss to not do everything in their power to try and retain her for as long as possible. But there's still work to do from a conduct standpoint as it relates to social media, whether it be elected officials or otherwise. She deserves better than what she's receiving on Facebook. So with that, She has tendered her resignation. I have not accepted her resignation. As I said, she's been here every single day since the resignation was received. We're talking Saturdays, Sundays, making fabulous progress. But I'll let Angela fill in the rest. If you'd like.
So I think what I said is my resignation probably still stands. I think you guys have to find somebody you're all willing to work with. It doesn't do the city any good for everything that we bring, that I bring forward to be contentious. I can't say I've seen that happen before. Usually it's pretty much just reports. My reports are not political by any means. I don't understand how social media has taken what we bring as financial reports in a political sense. It's unfortunate that some people have been able to do that. So if finding somebody different suits you better, then by all means, find somebody different. That being said, I also am the only person here that does do payroll and does do a lot of your financial instructions. So, out of respect to the employees, I'm not gonna leave them hanging because I don't know who would do that. If I did leave by my time, but you should probably look for somebody that you're all willing to work with.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. And Nolan, stop me if I'm over the edge here, but isn't our clerk and comptroller at this time suing the city of Mayville?
All right. The answer is no. Both the city clerk and the comptroller treasurer filed a formal HR complaint in early April. Both myself and the chief of police were named as witnesses to one instance in particular involving an alderman who is no longer with the city. We followed the employee handbook and how we handle investigating HR reports or requests, and we sent it for a third-party review and evaluation.
I'm glad that's cleared up because that's what I was told. So I'd like to be transparent and let the folks in Mayville know that. The other thing I had to ask was because we have both resigning, on a personal level, I have no problem with either one of them. But on the other hand, I do think it should be addressed that maybe they should reapply, seeing that they resigned.
As I mentioned earlier, we reviewed with council, we're in good standing. They're actually able to remain in their position until a successor is hired. That's the legal basis of being able to take they're rescinding their resignations. So,
John, do you want me to weigh in?
Nolan, please state what's going on.
Sure. So the city clerk and also the city comptroller treasurer positions are appointed positions by statute and under the city code. And so their resignations are not actually effective because they're appointed positions until a successor is chosen and qualifies. So they can submit their notice. If they do, they can always withdraw it before a successor is chosen and qualifies. And it's my understanding that that's what the city clerk has done here. But in any case, until the city would replace that person with a qualified individual, the resignation does not become effective and may be withdrawn at any time.
Okay. And then my next question is, isn't there supposed to be some kind of recognition for two of the aldermen to accept their resignations? We haven't done that yet.
we are drifting off course, Kim. We're giving an update regarding the latest, and we're going to stick to what the agenda states.
I think that is outside the agenda. I could address it if the council wants me to. But I don't think it's on. My recommendation is that we stay on the agenda. Our duty as aldermen is to stick to the agenda. And if we want to add something to the next time we have a council meeting, we can add things to the agenda ahead of time so we can stay on topic.
Purpose of me bringing this up is so that if we want to move forward with filling those vacancies, I think one step has to be recognized before the next step can be taken. Nolan,
Yeah.
what is,
Kim, you're up again. We're gonna move forward. You're able to request something be added to a committee agenda and go through the standard processes you wish to review. So. I think we have completed item 2, which is a status update on the resignation of the comptroller treasurer of the city clerk. And as such, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Alderman Schmidt, Alderman Smith, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, have a good evening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute.
I'm sorry.
Hi.
I hope nothing I say.